The mother of my two children, male and female tweens, cheated on me during our marriage. She became pregnant with another man's child. I learned this when I caught her with the man in question, and after quizzing her, she admitted there was a strong chance he was the father of the baby she was pregnant with. I ended our marriage right there and took a DNA test when her youngest was born, and she was not mine. So in the divorce, custody and support were only factored in for our two kids. I paid some child support because I made more than her, but we had 50-50 custody time with the kids, and I remained an involved dad. My ex lived with her youngest father in October of last year, when he took off without a word and dipped from their lives. She's been in pursuit of child support ever since, but he cannot be found, and he quit the last known job he had, so she's been unsuccessful so far. This has led to her struggling, and I buy more for the kids we share so they don't suffer because of the failed relationship with the affair partner. Last month, my ex told me she was struggling to keep up with the expenses for her youngest, and she asked me if I could maybe buy some stuff and food that included her too. I said no, that I was responsible for my kids, and I would not become financially responsible in any way for the child she made while cheating on me. She begged and told me they would have different lives if I didn't help, at least for now. I told her that was not my problem, and that maybe she'd think about that in the future before she started an ongoing affair. She told our kids about asking me and encouraged them to ask me for them. The kids were confused because they had always known their half-sister was not my child, but they started to doubt because of how their mom talked, saying good men take care of all their children, and a loving child who's part of your family should never be that hard. The kids approached me and asked me about it and told me their mom wanted them to ask me for stuff for their half-sister. So I explained to them that she was not my child or part of my family, but she was still part of theirs. They asked why, since my oldest has some memories of his mom and me being together while she was pregnant. I said their mom got pregnant with their half-sister while we were together, but DNA proved she wasn't mine, and I did not raise her for that reason. I told them I was still their dad and nothing had changed, but I was never really their half-sister's dad and didn't want to buy her stuff as I do for them. They understood, and when they went back to their mom, she called and cussed me out for telling the kids more details than she wanted them to know. I said they had always been aware they had a different dad to her other child, and that needed to remain clear because I wasn't claiming her now that her father had abandoned her. She called me a cruel idiot. So am I? Not the idiot. She's the one who sent the kids to ask you. What precisely did she think was going to happen? She had to know that there was a strong chance of you still saying no, meaning the kids, being kids, would immediately ask, why? Everybody wants to find someone else to blame when they get to the mess around stage of mess around and find out. Well, obviously, you're neither responsible for the youngest kid, nor are you the idiot for refusing to engage. Your ex made her mess, but if it's the latter and you can afford it, I would consider buying her occasional basic necessities if you get the feeling that she genuinely cannot afford them, not just giving her money. Ultimately, the kid would be the one suffering, and she's innocent in all of that. I would use it to show your kids the importance of compassion, even to strangers you have no responsibility towards, and stress that. If the ex is now struggling to support 3 kids, you can move to amend your custody, lowering the required spending to a general house of 2 instead of 4 on a regular basis. I'm not a lawyer, but I've read some articles where a non-biological parent can be made financially responsible if they have a record of supporting the child. For that reason alone, I wouldn't increase the support. Your ex is awful for involving your kids in her troubles. She created this issue, and she needs to deal with it. OP, I'd be tempted to offer to take primary custody of your 2 kids to relieve her of their financial burden so she can worry about her youngest. If you can prove that she can't take care of your children, that you must give her more, and that she emotionally implores your children to ask you for money for a child who's not yours, you could win. My husband, 27, and I, 26 female, welcomed our firstborn child, Mia, a few months ago. I am not the most extroverted person, so I organized the visits from family and friends and ensured they were manageable for Mia and me. Needless to say, It seems everyone's absolutely in love with our daughter and keeps wanting to take pictures with her. I'm against having my child on social media until she can consent to the pictures. They can still take pictures, but not post them on social media. Now to the issue. Their obsession with Mia for the past 3 months reached a new level. They keep mentioning how sweet she is and how they would happily eat her as she's so sweet. I don't find this cute at all. I find it very creepy. I've asked them to stop as I don't feel comfortable with it, but I was told I'm over-exaggerating. This came to a boil 2 days ago when my sister-in-law Anna came around to visit and started showing me a video of a woman jokingly putting her child's foot between 2 slices of bread and pretending she was about to eat it. Anna says that's what she feels like doing when she sees Mia, as she's so adorable. But I just have to call her creepy. I've raised my voice and I've said I'm uncomfortable with how they talk about Mia, as it seems obsessive and very cringy. And if she carries on, she or other in-laws are no longer welcome to our house. Anna got annoyed and left, and I've received a lot of calls from my mother-in-law and family friends, calling me an idiot for calling them creepy and inappropriate, as well as saying it's normal, and I'm reacting this way as Mia's my firstborn child, while all of them have already had multiple children. My husband and his parents are on my side as they find it weird, but I want a second opinion. Edit. Even my friends who were present when my sister-in-law was around found it weird and off-putting, since it's constant, and I've expressed multiple times how uncomfortable my husband and I are when Mia's compared to food. In-laws mention it 3 to 4 times in a 5-minute conversation, which is excessive already. If they're here for a day, I hear it more than 200 times that day alone. Yes, my husband and I counted, which is very excessive. Is there a cultural difference in play by any chance? In plenty of languages, there are expressions akin to, "I love you so much I'd eat you," "I want to eat you," usually used cutesily for kids or to express adoration. It's completely normal and not creepy at all. Very gentle, "You are the idiot." It seems to me you overreacted, but also you are a new hormonal mother, so they should give you some slack after an apology for the creepy part. Yeah, I figured there had to be something more to the story. Either it's a cultural difference or OP was seasoned and put into the oven as a kid or something. And because I know people will scream, but what about boundaries? Yeah, it is important to establish boundaries as a parent, but getting upset over tiny comments is not it. I've noticed the same. People scream about boundaries and then wonder why no one wants to watch their kids. I'm very fond of boundaries, but eventually, if OP keeps threatening to make them tighter and tighter, no one would be left. I see it in a lot of parenting subs, where parents have a mile-long list of rules and boundaries. Then in the same breath, they complain that no one will help them, no grandparents are willing to help, and they have no village. If you're willing to cut your partner's family out of your child's life over a harmless phrase, then you're doing her more harm than they are. I'm surprised they don't already find being around you tiresome. You seem easily offended. Relax. They don't actually want to harm your child. They just find the baby adorable. My dad had an affair around the time he and my mom conceived me, male teen, and my half-sister, Jessie, teen, was the result. My parents already had my sister, Winter, 18. After me, my parents had my brothers, Hayes, a younger teen, and Jonah, a very young teen. We discovered Jessie was our half-sister 6 years ago, and my parents' marriage broke up over the revelation. Dad ended up getting back together with Jessie's mom, which broke up her marriage after she and my dad had broken up. Jessie knew my dad and they had a relationship. Winter and I knew her from school, but we were not close to her. Only after the big reveal did we really talk to Jessie, and she told us we had to treat her as a real sister, and that her parents said we would always have to include her now because she was our family. That's been her attitude ever since. She doesn't think any of us can talk to each other unless she's involved. She jumps into conversations. She tries to rewrite history to include herself. Jonah tried to get a little closer to her, and she yelled at him a few times because, in response, He wasn't doing it the way she wanted, meaning he wasn't erasing history. The first time it was about Universal Studios, and she said our first time there should be together. He told her we had already been, and she yelled at him. The second time she talked all about the Christmases we spent together, and he mentioned we hadn't spent one together yet. Whenever we have family time at Dad's house, she'll come up with stories of things we haven't done in an attempt to change the past. She'll also make comments about our mom getting in the way of the family, and it normally results in a fight between me and Winter versus her, because we don't tolerate that crap. So we don't have the best relationship with her. I can't say any of us hate her. Maybe Winter does, but I don't consider her a real sister or an actual member of my family. And in 2 years, I won't speak to her or my dad. I'm angry with him for a lot of stuff. So this is the first year since the divorce that Mom can take us on vacation, and she's decided to make it a special one because Winter goes to college in the fall. Jesse found out about this via Dad because he wasn't happy with Mom taking advantage of the chance to extend custody during the summer for 2 weeks for a vacation, and he wasn't happy because Winter said no to going on vacation with his family this year. She no longer sees Dad because she's 18. Jesse told us we couldn't go on a family vacation without her, and she needed to come. I told her that wasn't happening, and she said we had to include her because she's our sister. I said she's not my mom's daughter. She said we're family though, and she's our sister. I told her she wasn't welcome on our family vacation with Mom. She never would be, and we never wanted her there. She yelled at me, and my dad got angry at me for upsetting her and saying such a crappy thing to her and taking his affair out on her. Am I the idiot? Not the idiot. I don't know who's been feeding Jesse this diet of you get to do everything with them all the time because you're all family, but it's delusional. And at her age, she should have enough critical thinking skills to understand that not only does the half-sibling bear some weight here, but the from an affair? Look, she's a kid. You all are. None of you should be arguing about this because she shouldn't feel entitled to be included in your mother's vacation plans in the first place. Your father's the one who needs to straighten this out, though, no matter what Jesse's mom may be filling her head with. Yikes! Your dad created a nightmare for all you kids. Once you turn 18, bye-bye Jessie. You never have to interact with her again. Talk to your full siblings and tell them, silence is golden. Never tell Jessie any plans again. Tell Dad the minimum. Be very vague. Screw her. She sounds delusional. Hey, you move forward with your chin up. Get the best education you can and be as happy as you can. Don't let your parents' drama affect your confidence or future. Best of luck to you. Put this mess in the rearview mirror. My sister Amber is currently 3 months pregnant with twins. She's already begun to develop a bump. Right now, she's only told myself, our parents, and our brother, as well as giving myself and our brother permission to tell our spouses. We've all agreed to keep it a secret until she's ready. The issue is, she's become very obvious about it, to the point where she's doing near comical things to hide it when we're around family, which has been frequently as of late. Picture the stuff people do in sitcoms when the characters aren't pregnant, but the actor is. Covering her stomach with her purse, holding her older daughter in front of the bump, wearing much baggier clothes when she's typically the type to wear things that show off her figure. Amber's always been pretty fit, as she's a gym rat. The bump itself doesn't even look like extra fat or anything, just a very pronounced baby bump. If ever she has to move something from her stomach, she's very quick to hide it. So obviously, many have caught on, but for the most part, we're good sports. No one ever directly asked us, but would make hints. I never entertained them. We all gathered on Sunday for a family dinner. Amber was holding her 2-year-old for a bit. When the little one wanted to go play, Amber then tried to cover herself with a blanket. My cousin, 30, said, "All right, Amber, cut the dramatics. We all know." A few instantly reprimanded my cousin. Amber turned bright red. She refused to say anything in the moment, though later quietly confirmed to her aunt, telling her to spread it around. Amber's now very upset. I agree our cousin was obnoxious and shouldn't have said anything. I've tried to be supportive and comforting. However, Amber kept saying, I don't know how they figured it out. I finally said, Sweetie, you really weren't trying hard. I respect why you wanted to wait, but by this point, it was quite obvious. She got mad and tried to insist it wasn't obvious. I said it absolutely was, and she didn't help matters by acting like she was in a sitcom. I stressed our cousin was wrong, but she wasn't as stealth as she thought. I wasn't saying she should have done more to hide it. I also don't think she was wrong to hide it. I'm just saying the sentiment, I don't know how they figured it out, doesn't work when she was being obvious. Now she's mad at me and says I'm victim blaming. I said I'm absolutely not. No one should have said anything, but she was being obvious, and she shouldn't pretend otherwise. Am I the idiot? First of all, she's not a victim unless the pregnancy is the result of a traumatic event. Second of all, it's not wrong to tell her that it was obvious when she asked the question. She just doesn't like the answer, and unfortunately it came from you, so you're the target. You are not the idiot. I mean, she needs to take that up with her body and how it's carrying the pregnancy. Hiding twins is not a realistic option for most people. That baby bump is going to be prominent, and there's not much you can do about it. Has your sister always had this drama llama streak? LOL. Victim blaming? What? What exactly is she the victim of? Of people having vision and common sense? It's pretty obvious someone is pregnant when they constantly try to cover their stomach. She wanted everyone to know it without telling them. She should be called out for her behavior when she's behaving like this. Don't make a show of hiding your pregnancy in front of people if you don't want people to actually notice. She wanted people to notice and ask. That's why she's doing it. My husband is 57 and I'm 49. My mother-in-law is 81. She used to be very independent, but since my father-in-law passed away a few years ago, her health has been declining. She can walk and take care of herself. She's just frailer. She's become much more soft-spoken and generally nice. My husband agrees that she never used to be easy to get along with. But anyway, that's all right. I didn't have much contact with her, and she had her own life. My husband visited maybe once every few months because we live very close to her, about half an hour. Recently, though, she's wanted him to visit more often, and she gets upset when she isn't invited to do things we're doing. For example, we recently went on a trip to celebrate my husband's birthday, and he didn't want to bring her, as it would limit the sort of activities we could do. She insisted we should have gone on a chill trip and brought her. Last week, we had gone to visit my family. My mother-in-law called my husband and said she was really sick and admitted to the hospital. My husband obviously panicked, and we both took a flight that evening back home to see what was wrong. It turned out she was totally fine and apparently had a mild cold. We spoke to the doctor, and she said my mother-in-law had said she couldn't breathe, and when the doctor said she could go home, she insisted on being admitted. I told my husband it sounded like she just wanted to be admitted, so you would come back to check on her. He was appalled, but later agreed that it made sense and sounded like something she would do. She wants to stay with us now because she's sick. I said no, she was faking it, and I didn't want to deal with her all day. My husband thinks I'm being a selfish idiot. OP, you are the idiot. She sounds like my mom. We thought she was faking things, etc. It was the beginning of dementia/Alzheimer's. I wish I'd given the attention she wanted looking back. It would have been such a small thing. She'd also lost someone right before, so loneliness she wasn't really able to speak about. Let's remember the wording. OP said, we live very close, half an hour, so he visits every couple of months. Come on, the OP lives half an hour away, and his hubby visits his mom every few months? Poor woman, she's obviously lonely, and they're not even trying. Yeah, you are the idiot for being generally cold and flippant toward her and her health, even if she faked the recent scare. She's an 81-year-old widower living alone. She's not feeling great, possibly has more fear about being alone given her frail condition, and she wants to see her son more. Maybe her asks are too big or too much, but it seems like y'all could be more sympathetic and consider stepping it up a bit. Make your own informed assessment of what she does need and decide what you can reasonably do.